The 2024 US election is not just another national event. Every 4 years, the world holds its breath, watching as the most powerful country on earth chooses its next leader. But this election, more than ever, has the potential to send ripples across the globe, affecting geopolitics, economies, and international relations. This year's race is set to be historic, with two high-profile candidates offering sharply contrasting visions for the future of the US and the world: Donald Trump, the former president, and Kamala Harris, the current vice president. Donald Trump is running on a platform that revives many of the policies from his previous administration. His America First approach focuses heavily on national sovereignty, reducing reliance on international alliances, and tightening borders. Trump advocates for renegotiating trade deals that he believes have disadvantaged American workers, particularly with China and the European Union. His foreign policy stance leans toward reducing US involvement in overseas conflicts, cutting back on commitments to NATO, and focusing more on bilateral agreements. On the economy, Trump supports lowering taxes and deregulating industries to boost growth. He has also voiced strong support for the oil and gas industries, promoting energy independence through fossil fuels. This would likely mean rolling back environmental regulations, positioning the US as a leader in global energy production. His stance on China remains firm, continuing the trade and tech rivalry, especially with regard to tariffs, technology transfer, and intellectual property. Kamala Harris, on the other hand, represents a more progressive vision for the US domestically and internationally. Harris advocates for strengthening alliances with NATO, the United Nations, and other multilateral organizations, emphasizing international cooperation to address global challenges. Her foreign policy is more focused on diplomacy, human rights, and climate action. Economically, Harris supports raising taxes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations to fund social programs, infrastructure, and clean energy initiatives. She's a strong proponent of green energy, aiming to move the US toward a carbon-neutral future by investing in renewable energy sources like solar and wind. Harris has also highlighted the importance of working with international partners to combat climate change, recommitting the US to global climate accords, such as the Paris Agreement. When it comes to China, Harris favors diplomacy over confrontation, but would likely continue to push back on human rights issues and unfair trade practices. Her administration would also seek to maintain America's competitive edge in technology and innovation, but with a focus on balancing national security with global collaboration. The US remains the dominant global superpower. Whoever sits in the Oval Office holds enormous sway over international alliances, peace treaties, and military actions. A shift in leadership could mean a shift in how the US engages with the rest of the world. NATO, the United Nations, trade agreements, and military alliances all hang in the balance. Will the next president strengthen ties with allies or focus on America First policies that could alienate some nations? China, Russia, and Europe are watching closely. China, as the rising global competitor, has long been at odds with US policies, from trade to technology to military posturing. A new US president could either escalate tensions or seek new grounds for diplomacy. Russia, on the other hand, remains a wild card. Will the next administration maintain sanctions and push for international isolation, or will we see a more lenient approach? The economic impact of the 2024 US election could be profound. The US economy, as the largest in the world, drives global financial markets. Policies on trade, taxes, and regulation can send shockwaves through stock markets from Wall Street to Tokyo. Will the next administration take a protectionist stance, tightening tariffs and discouraging imports? That could affect global supply chains and increase prices on goods worldwide. Or will the US lean towards a more open, globalized economy, reinforcing partnerships with Europe, Latin America, and Asia? The 2024 election could also define the future of the US dollar. As the world's reserve currency, any instability in the US has a domino effect on global currencies and international trade. Investors around the world will be closely watching how policies on inflation, interest rates, and government spending unfold. Energy policy is another crucial area where the 2024 US election could reshape global dynamics. The US remains one of the top energy producers in the world, and its approach to fossil fuels, renewable energy, and climate change will ripple across international markets. Will the next administration prioritize green energy, setting the stage for a global shift towards sustainability? Or will oil and gas remain at the forefront, impacting global energy prices and driving geopolitical tensions in regions dependent on oil exports? The decisions made in Washington, D.C. could also define the future of the Paris Agreement and international climate negotiations. As the world battles the climate crisis, all eyes will be on whether the US steps up as a leader or falls back on old energy policies. Technology is another area where the US election will have profound implications. Trade wars with China, particularly over tech and intellectual property, have already altered the landscape of global technology supply chains. Will the next administration double down on restricting Chinese tech giants like Huawei, or will they ease tensions, opening doors for global collaboration? The outcome of this election could set the stage for the next phase of the global tech race, especially in areas like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and semiconductors. The US government's stance could either accelerate innovation or fragment the global tech ecosystem, with each region developing its own systems and standards. Beyond bilateral relations, the 2024 US election will also impact the future of international institutions. Organizations like the World Trade Organization, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund depend heavily on US leadership and cooperation. If the US takes a more isolationist approach, these institutions could face an existential crisis. On the other hand, a renewed commitment to international collaboration could revitalize these organizations, giving them the strength to tackle pressing global issues like poverty, inequality, and economic development. The stakes couldn't be higher. The 2024 US election will not just determine the future of America, it will shape the future of the world. From geopolitics and trade to energy and technology, the ripple effects of this election will be felt in every corner of the globe. Nations are preparing, markets are watching, and leaders are waiting. If you want to stay updated on the global impact of major events like this, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We break down complex topics in a way that's insightful, engaging, and easy to understand. Don't miss out, hit that subscribe button, and stay informed.